Claudia Long.
Hello, Minister. Claudia Long from the ABC. I guess just in an ideal world where we see all of these foundational supports built up, is there anything to stop a situation, for example, where an NDIS participant is referred to the allied health services that you've been talking about within a school or a hospital, and then they find out that there's a lengthy waiting list of a number of years? How are you going to guarantee, and not just you but the government more widely, how are you going to guarantee that the states are going to come through on their promise to actually guarantee these supports? You know, we've heard a lot about the carrot. Is there going to be a stick?
Well, earlier this week, some of the media were writing the states said they wouldn't be engaged at all. But yesterday, National Cabinet seems to show a massive level of engagement. I'm optimistic that the states are engaged. That's why yesterday was significant. We'll work together on it. Like, if you say to me, please show me everything that 5 or 10 years' time and I want it right now, I can't. I can guarantee you this is the best plan in town. Now, do I think that there'll be some wrinkles in it we've got to iron out talking to people with disabilities? Sure. Do I think there'll be really good points made by service providers saying, is that too heavy red tape or not? Sure. Like, there is zero arrogance about this. But I put to you the counterfactual. If we do nothing, then it all eventually falls over. Well, that's just on all of us because we were too lazy to try. We're not going through, perhaps, dare I say it, the cruder things of rationing and say, you know, an algorithm says you get $10,000 and you get $20,000, you get $30,000, and that's it. We're not doing any of that either. I'm not saying this is the best plan, and I'm saying we will make it a better plan as we go along together with the states and with people with disability, most importantly. But it is the only viable plan. I am not willing to give up and say, well, because you can't answer every question on every bit of modelling and every bit of losers and winners and, you know, what about someone in 5 years' time who might not be on the scheme? I want you to guarantee that they'll be no worse off. You can't do that. What you can do, though, is say, we're going to keep them honest. If you're saying how do we make keep the states honest? By doing this, by working together, by collaboration. The review is a serious piece of work. It's real. It reflects the lived experience, not just of the last 12 months, but of what a lot of us have been thinking over for a long time. So, and it'll be on you, the media, to help keep the states honest, not to simply print everything they might say to you. You know, we've all got a job here, but I'm pretty happy with the states, to be honest, and I know all the disability ministers and they're very motivated, so there's a lot of goodwill.
So just to clarify, that means if one of the states, say, falls behind in a particular development of a particular foundational support, instead of, say, finding them, you might approach them and be like, hey, how are you going to lift your game in this? Can you detail it to me?
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. We don't want to... different states are doing different things already. It's not like, I suppose the analogy of a lifeboat or an oasis sort of presumes nothing's happening. That's not quite fair. There is work that the states are doing. I acknowledge that, and some really innovative stuff. Just work together. I find if you can get a coalition of people with goodwill, people with disability, service providers, families, advocates, engaged members of parliament, politicians, we can probably solve most problems if we just decide what's most important. And for me, what's most important is the best outcome for the person with a disability. That'll help us sort out the rest of it when it gets hard.
Sarah Ison has a question.
Thank you, Sarah. Sarah Ison from The Australian. Just to follow up on Natasia's question, to be clear, some families who get individual support packages now could, in the 2-year time frame you were speaking of, go to the foundational system if that is best for them. I just wanted to clarify that. And Professor Bonnie Hedy has said the scheme was designed for 1 in 50 Australians. Do you think it's feasible with these reforms to return to such a rate?
Well, let's go to the individual, because that's who I'm more concerned about at the moment. And I'm speaking now directly to literally hundreds of thousands of families. We know that the NDIS is changing lives and we don't want to go back to the old ways. We do get, though, that the scheme needs to be run better. And part of the way we run it better is by developing more supports outside the scheme. This will take time. I'm not going to say, can I guarantee a particular individual is in or out, because, frankly, I haven't done the assessment of them. I don't know how the child's going. I don't know what the circumstances of the family are. What I can say, though, is If you have a significant and permanent disability which has quite an impact on your functioning, you will be in the scheme. If you have a developmental delay which could be supported by another means of support other than an individual package, you'll get what you need. For me, this is all about what the people need, not about trying to fit them around a process. In terms of the number of kids on the scheme now, that you're going to Bruce's point, I mean, Bruce is very smart, so I won't try and put words in his mouth. But I did say in my speech that one of the things which we didn't expect when the scheme was set up was the level of unmet need. And we're getting better at diagnosing people. We're getting better at actually detecting developmental delay. One of my critics said that somehow I don't believe in autism. I believe autistic people are real. I believe the diagnosis. What I don't accept is that one size fits all. This is a pretty bold experiment. The idea you can provide individual support to our fellow human beings, I think it's a worthy exercise, but it's an individual system. So I think the more that we can avoid the generalisations and the more we get back to the needs of individuals and deliver it in the best way possible, then I think every family will be better off.
So not going back to the 1 in 50 as it was designed?
Again, I think you're looking for a particular word out of my mouth, and I'm not playing that. Because you know what? I really just give a stuff about people with disability and the people on the scheme. We're going to work every day for you. That's all I can say, and we will listen to you every day and we will respect you every day. And I'll make sure if a kid has a developmental delay that we create a system in this country that every child gets support. I'm just agnostic about the best way to do it. NDIS, childcare, schools, other forms of support. Thanks.
Andrew Coburn.